Hi. So, if you ever wondered if the patent system was broken or not, and if you think that I was just talking off the top of my head, have a look at this patent. It's 2014 00799332A1. It's a patent by Princeton University. These are guys we ought to admire, and these are guys who are doing something that's actually unbelievably shifty, and they really ought to be ashamed of themselves. Now, when you read through the patent, I know exactly what it is they did and exactly what it is they're attempting to patent. What they did essentially was take some carbonaceous compound with some graphitic elements in it and turn it into graphene oxide to show that you didn't need graphite to make graphene oxide, you could do it with various carbon blacks. Now, that in itself is very valid and very laudable. But a patent stands or falls by the claims. It's the claims in a patent that are really important. When you read through the claims, you understand what the patent is actually attempting to protect. Now, when you read through that particular patent, you get the idea of what the process is that they're on about. But when you read the claims, it's absolutely ridiculous. So claim 1 is attempt to patent a method for producing nanographene oxide sheets and nanographene sheets, and it attempts to patent any method doing that. So this patent, which should be about the use of carbonaceous materials, is actually about every method of making graphene oxide. That's how the patent reads. It's such a broad scope patent that if you're making graphene oxide using any carbonaceous material, remember graphite is a carbonaceous material, any carbonaceous material, you're breaching their patent. Now that is ludicrous. Now, apparently, about 95% of all patents that go through the American Patent Office go through. They're hardly checked, and the reason they're hardly checked is because the American Patent Office is completely overworked. They just don't have enough staff, they don't have enough expert knowledge to look at this stuff, so these patents bash their way through, have legal standing, and end up being nonsense, just like this is nonsense. This is a broad scope patent that attempts to patent all graphene oxide production and is ridiculous and yet probably enforceable. Really, Princeton should be utterly ashamed, but I'll bet you they're not. I'll bet you the Princeton lawyers are rubbing their hands together, cracking the knuckles with glee, waiting for the first person they can sue under this patent. Absolutely unbelievable. Now, it's brought up by a friend of mine called Leonardo, and you've heard of Leonardo before. He's had some very good ideas, and I've done some videos on them. And he pointed out something to me. He said, if these idiots will do this patent, they'll do any patent. So what you need to do, really, is a video on some of the ideas regarding the thermocell to stop these fools trying to patent it, because the video will act as a priority date. And I thought, you know, he's absolutely right. So we're going to talk through the thermocell a little bit. Now, the thermocell is obviously based on the monotherm. The monotherm patent deals with electronegativity series and how to organise the materials in terms of electronegativity series in order to get a heat effect. The thermocell takes the same essential idea, but says that it's nothing to do with the electronegative series. It's got to do with the formation of p-n junctions in a similar way to a solar cell. So instead of working on sunlight, it actually works on heat. And if you remember the structure of it, it's basically a 4-layer structure. So here we have two metallic conductors that are asymmetric. So one's copper, one's aluminium, one's gold, one's silver. It doesn't really matter as long as they're asymmetric semiconductors. And here we have two layers of P and N type material. And we used chrome oxide and phosphorus, chrome oxide and sulfur, sulfur and zinc oxide. There's a whole range of these P and N materials that can actually be used in order to make this work. And one significant and important material that can be used is graphene oxide. So we can substitute either of those with either graphene oxide or a doped graphene oxide. Now, if you remember, we used titanium dioxide doped graphene oxide in one of the thermocell examples. So we had our titanium oxide doped graphene oxide in there, and we used that as a thermocell material. So the thermocell can be constructed in a whole number of ways, the essence of it being asymmetric electrodes, which again is not actually necessarily needed that just works better with asymmetric, and then a layer of P and a layer of N type material. And that, again, doesn't really matter. It can be straightforward native N, native P type, like copper oxide or zinc oxide, or phosphorus or sulfur, so anything really that is a native semiconductor. Or a doped semiconductor, so that you've got things like a doped GO or a GO itself, or a graphene or doped graphene can be used here as well. So all of these materials can be used in the thermocell as long as you have that PN type layering of material across asymmetric current collectors. So that's the essence of the thermocell. Leonardo's been doing some interesting work on this and has given permission for me to tell you about it. And what he's done is reduce the thermocell to a 3-layer system. Again, he's got the asymmetric current collectors. I think he uses aluminium and copper, but the central layer is used iron sulfide, iron pyrites for it, and he's getting 540 millivolts out of this structure. Now that's kind of really cool and impressive. So the thermocell, the idea of heat activating the PN junctions across these current collectors, can be a 4-layer system, a 3-layer system, doped or undoped native semiconductors. And the reason this video is going up is not so much to discuss the thermocell itself in terms of its structure, but to give a priority date. Don't find suddenly Princeton University has put out a patent attempting to cover the whole thing. Because this obviously is a result of mine and other people's research, and it was meant to be free. It was meant to be open source. A lot of open source work has been done on it. Other people are doing open source replications at this moment as we speak and discovering interesting things about this. Leonardo is doing quite a lot of work on it. He doesn't post videos so much, but he does an awful lot of good work on this stuff. And as are Fetch It Now UK and Mr. Flat Hunter, they're doing an awful lot of good work on this kind of thing as well. And there's been an awful lot of stuff done in the open forum community specifically to put this out there. So we really don't want somebody putting a patent on our work after we've done the work. So this video really is a priority date for that. Now, another thing that we're doing a lot of, obviously, is using graphene as a method of energy harvesting. The swag generator is really a graphene energy harvester. And it's another thing that I've talked about quite a lot, and a lot of work has been done on it. Other people are doing replications as we speak. We've also looked at the swag plates, where the swag plates actually just outside in the sun will generate a current. Mr. Flat Hunter has done some really interesting videos, and I'll put a link to one of his, where he essentially takes one of the swag plates and lights up an LED with it. It's really cool. So have a look at that. But again, that really was meant to be in open source, open to everybody. It's not meant to be patented. So the idea of energy harvesting using graphene sheets, which is what we've been doing, we've been looking at the swag, ought to be out there. And again, this video is about the priority date for that kind of stuff as well. So anything that's been going up on this channel, and anything that anybody is actually contributing and working on, the whole intention of that was it was unpatentable. So all of this stuff, all of these videos that have been produced are priority dates for those inventions, because those inventions really belong to everybody. Hopefully this puts it firmly in the open source, and hopefully you support that and you found this interesting for that reason, and I thank you very much for watching.